Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 5 in Legal Studies 457-557 here in the spring of 2025 at the UAB Collat School of Business. This week we are looking at business organizations, but first here is the answer to last week's extra credit opportunity. The Securities and Exchange Commission fined Under Armour for recording transactions as sales when they did not meet the definition of a sale under the Uniform Commercial Code. What they were doing was recording as sales simply situations in which a customer said, well, next quarter I will take a shipment of some of your goods. And that is not a transfer of ownership as defined in the Uniform Commercial Code. But let's look at week 5. Week 5, we are covering business organizations, several chapters, not all of each chapter. There's at least one chapter, the chapter 33 on corporation formation and financing, that we will not cover, but you can tell what we are covering and we're not from the Getting Started Learning module that has a grid, and also from the class slides. Remember that I only test on those things in the textbook that are also covered in the class slides. Traditionally, when a new business is being formed, and new businesses are formed by entrepreneurs, presumably, I guess you could say that an established business might also want to create a new business for some reason, but entrepreneurs are the focus here. They've traditionally had 3 choices that you can see here, but today there are actually a lot more choices, as we will cover. And in particular, a limited liability company is perhaps the most popular choice for an entrepreneur. But first, a quick note on franchises in Chapter 30. There are several different types of franchises: a distributorship, such as a Ford franchise; a chain-style operation, such as, say, a Subway franchise; or a process manufacturing arrangement, such as a bottling company getting syrup and using it to bottle a particular formula for a soft drink. Remember, a franchise is not a legal form of an organization. It's not to say it's illegal, but it's not the form of an organization. It is a method of operating a business that otherwise has some legal form. Quick word on franchises here. We will be looking at this in the textbook. Normally there is a contract that is very, very important for you and your clients. It specifies the territory. It specifies whether or not the franchisee has to purchase certain things from the franchisor. But let's move on to Chapter 31, partnerships. A partnership can exist under the Uniform Partnership Act in all states, even if there is no written agreement. But if these 3 things are present, a partnership will be found, including, say, between 2 spouses who have started a at-home business with each other. And here's an example of a partnership that was found to exist for a restaurant. Limited liability partnerships are a special flavor of partnerships reserved for professionals. You can see the letters LLP, for example, in the name of the law firm where I used to be a partner, standing for Limited Liability Partnership. We'll be studying what that means. Limited liability companies, as I said, are perhaps the most popular choice for entrepreneurs starting a new business. They have the advantages of a partnership in terms of their taxation, because there is no separate taxation of the limited liability company. Instead, there's a complete flow-through to the owners, the members of the limited liability company. Moving on then to the last chapter that we'll be covering, Chapter 33, corporations. Corporations is a term that is used generically, but technically in the business law and tax law, a corporation is not the same thing as a limited liability company, for example. A corporation is separately taxed. There are many different flavors of corporations, including nonprofit corporations, where some of you may go to work, or a close corporation, meaning there are very few shareholders. S corporations and benefit corporations, we will be looking at that. There are advantages and disadvantages of each. Benefit corporation is a relatively new concept. Here's an example of a benefit corporation right here in Birmingham. Lunar Lab, the CEO of Lunar Lab, actually ran for Congress unsuccessfully. She ran as a Democrat in Alabama, and that is a steep uphill climb. Here is your next extra credit opportunity for 2 points added to your second exam by Sunday night, April 2025 at 11:59. Send me a Canvas mail message telling me whether the current corporate tax rate, which is 21%, was like many of the other tax breaks built into the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, was it only temporary, and like many of those other tax cuts, will it disappear unless Congress takes some action before December 31, 2025? You may know, for example, in your own personal tax returns, that the standard deduction for your personal tax return went way up, and that is a temporary measure, and the standard deduction will go back down unless Congress takes some affirmative act before December 31st. I want everybody in the 557 section to remember and think about what the April 28 assignment is, the reflective memo. A reflective memo is not your typical memo that describes something to the reader. It is a reflection of your thoughts. No one knows the content of your mind, and therefore nobody can write a reflective memo except you, because only you know what is in your mind, and you'll see the instructions for that in Canvas. I want you to read yourselves, not rules. This is a very rules-based course, but this particular exercise is designed to use a different part of your brain. Here is the calendar. Today is Monday, April 14. Our second exam opens on Friday of this week at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and stays open until Sunday night, the 20th, at 11:59 p.m. There's less time for this exam than for the first, because I want to better simulate the time constraints that are in the CPA exam. And remember that the CPA client simulations for every single student are due on Wednesday night, the 16th at 11:59. So that means you've got to be communicating with each other, if you haven't already, to get those into the proper place in the discussion assignment inside Canvas.